Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel. I just wanted to provide a quick update on Bitcoin to tie us over until we post our next major video on this channel. So let's dive right into this. In this episode, I want to talk about what I see taking place in Bitcoin, specifically in the next month. On this channel, if you have been watching my past 3 or 4 Bitcoin updates, you'll obviously know I've been talking about my TA price targets, which if we look on the 4-hourly time frame, we've been drawing from this bear flag, which will be complete down here at 18,200. That's my price target in the short term. In the higher time frames, looking at the daily time frame, as you can see, this is what it was drawn on the 4-hour, but on the daily you can draw this bear flag all the way down to 16,700. So you know my price targets in the short term. I think we're going down to 18,200, probably going to have a tiny bounce before heading down to 16,700, taking the bottom out. But what happens after then, and why do I think specifically this is all going to take place within the next month? Let's talk about this. Well, it's no secret on this channel we've been looking at this 2008 SPX fractal for the past 4 weeks or so. You can see we posted this over on Twitter, calling the exact top in the stock market on August the 18th. So you can go back and check over on my Twitter and my YouTube, and you can see I was posting these fractals before there was any red in the SPX, and we were saying, according to these fractals, the stock market should be topping out this week. And you know, this is what happened after it. We obviously completely capitulated. Why do we care about what happens in the stock market right now and the next direction for the stock market? Well, because Bitcoin is highly correlated to the stock market. So as you can see, looking at this, you know, bar a few weeks or so on some of these major peaks and troughs, the peaks and the troughs beautifully line up with the stock market, the SPX. As you can see, this was the SPX over here, taking a nice bounce to the upside and then breaking back down, and Bitcoin followed the exact same trajectory of the SPX, which is why we're interested in the next direction of the SPX. Now, normally I would say we should be looking at the NASDAQ for direction on where Bitcoin's next move is. I'm actually going to be looking at the NASDAQ in a couple of months or so, maybe in the next 2 months, towards December time, when I actually think the bear market lows are going to be nearer. And there's a very specific reason for this, is because it would just take extra time looking at the NASDAQ as well. And if we overlay the NASDAQ over the SPX over right now, as you can see, there's really no divergence between these two at this moment in time. So I'll just be looking at the SPX, but just to show you what I have been talking about before, is that this chart over here, this orange line graph over here, is the NASDAQ chart, and the chart that is the red and green chart that was previously overlaid on this is the SPX. And as you can see, the SPX didn't bottom until round about March 2009, whereas tech stocks bottomed all the way down here on November 2008. Now, looking at this on a log scale, you might be looking at this and thinking, you know, we actually took a lower low down here, but this is just some weird type of log scale issue when you do compare these two charts, because if we do just head over to the NASDAQ by itself, plain and simple, come back down to see what happened in 2008, and as you can see, the NASDAQ literally bottomed, you know, 4 months or so, about 112 days before the SPX did. So as we once again said, to reiterate, Bitcoin is most highly correlated to tech stocks. So when the tech stocks bottom, that's when I'll be talking about this NASDAQ fractal. But for now, we're interested in the next move for the stock market. Now, I'm gonna post another separate mini update talking about this chart specifically, but for now, I've done my research. I've looked at what's happening out in the stock market, and it looks like we're going to be breaking down. So looking at this 2008 SPX fractal, this is predicting another 33 days of pain. If we come over to the daily time frame and we draw it from where we are actually now to when the next low is predicted to be, we should be here in the next 33 days getting ready for another bounce to the upside. Is this bounce going to be the bottom? No, it's not. If we do look at this SPX fractal, unfortunately, you can see, if I separate these, this would be the $17,500 bottom for Bitcoin, and we should be round about here right now, meaning that coming into the next leg for the next 30 days, we should be breaking beneath Bitcoin's lows. I really think we're going to do that sooner rather than later. We're probably going to take a run to the upside and then break back down. And what beautifully lines up with this is not only the analysis I'm going to provide in a separate video on the SPX, but if you look at what I'm predicting here to happen on on the SPX for, once again, for the lows of the SPX to be taken out, for the lows of Bitcoin to be taken out. These charts are basically going to mirror, but what I see playing out, you know, once again, look at this on daily, 18,200 bounce, then head down, 17,600. You've got a 3.618 round here, so it's possible we lollygag before breaking down. But in the higher time frames, what I'm really interested in is this next major move down. What I think is going to take place is us to move down to the bear flag low price target in the next 33 days. So if I line this out, what I actually think is going to take place is something like this. It's going to be an eyesore if I draw it out like this, but let's just imagine this is about 33 days or so, breaking down to these new lows around about 16,700. Where do I think we're going to bounce to after then? Well, if we do actually draw this out for 33 days, because it is important to know where the moving averages are going to be. If we're looking at the EMA ribbons on the daily time frame, you can see if we did break down for about 33 days, this is why I didn't want to do it. It looks very, very ugly now. But something like this, I do expect chop as we do break beneath this pattern. But then after the 33 days is done, when we're expecting this bounce for, how long is this taking place for? This is on the weekly time frame, so this bounce can definitely take quite some time. I imagine a lot of people can be suckered into this thinking this is the bottom. The peak of this next run up should take about 28 days, but we really shouldn't be breaking down until about 60 days or so. So like I said, this is probably going to be very boring for the next, not the next month, it's going to be very interesting for the next month, but the month or two after that is probably going to be a bit boring as we decide what to do as Bitcoin is beneath new lows. So this is what I think is taking place. I think, you know, once again, looking at the daily time frame, the reason I've got these EMA ribbons drawn out is because we keep forming these bear flags, and as we reach the apex of these, we run into the short-term moving average. We don't quite make it to the long term. Sometimes we actually cross it, but nonetheless, we come into these EMA ribbons on the daily, and then we get ready for the next move to the downside. So what I see taking place for Bitcoin's next move is 33 days of downwards movement to the 9th of October. I then expect a bounce to probably round about 18,000, 19,000 if we draw our fibs from low to high. You can definitely see it's not out of the question to say that we can go up to 19,200. It's not even out of the question to say we could potentially come up to the 618, go back up to 20,500, and this is after going down to 17,000. I'll keep you updated on this. I think the daily EMA ribbons are going to provide a major area of resistance. So personally, my trading plan would not to be having bounces significantly higher than this 18,600, 19,000-ish region, but this is going to be something that we're going to talk about more in depth for the next 2 months or so. So what I've got for you today, my friends, once again, I think for the next month or so on the stock market, the next 33 days to be precise, the stock market should continue to move down, the Nasdaq should continue to move down. This should obviously mean Bitcoin should continue down into new lows. My price targets on the daily time frame are once again down here, 16,700, then a bounce to about 19 to 20,000 is probably what's most likely going to take place before we go down to our real bear market lows, 16,000, 14,000. This is when I start planning on aping in. So what I've got for you today, my friends, as I did pull up my Twitter. If you want to follow me over on Twitter, it's here at 618_cowboy. All I've got for you today, my friends, and yeah, cowboy out. Peace.